Morning. So today we're on lesson 4.5, which is all about precipitation and clouds. So the big thing to know is that most of the information you're going to see here is based off of things that we've already talked about in class. So clouds are formed through the same processes that we discussed in Unit 3, which is about the water cycle. So what we're going to see here is that we have a layer in the sky, an imaginary line, which we call the condensation layer. And clouds can only form above that line, and generally the base of the cloud or the bottommost part is going to be right on that line. So going up through the atmosphere, we have the condensation layer, and then we have a cloud forming right above it. In order for that cloud to form, we need to have warm air circulating upwards, going through what we call convective cooling. So hot air is going up and cooling as it goes through convection. Once it reaches this point, which is also the dew point of that water, it can gather on particulates that are in the air, so dust and sand, and start forming a cloud as the water clumps and sticks together through cohesion. Remember cohesion. So we have warm air going up, convective cooling, water meets with particulates, and it forms the clouds. Now, one thing that you might be used to is how we both have clouds and fog. So I want to note that there's only really one difference between them, and that's their location. So clouds have to be above the condensation layer. Fog, however, is just on the Earth's surface. One other thing that's involved in clouds that's important is that when they precipitate back down, they go through what we call coalescence. Coalescence is the process by which raindrops are recirculated in the atmosphere, so going up here, around and around and around, and striking into other water molecules, going through cohesion, sticking together, and once they're large enough, after 100 collisions, then they will fall down to the atmosphere. So coalescence is the process of rain circulating and hitting itself, gathering together, and then precipitating down. When we talk about precipitation, we have many types. If you go down this list, it's actually going to go from the lightest and the most liquid to the most intense and the most frozen. So we go from a drizzle, so a light shower, to a full rain, to a sleet, a glaze, which is like our freezing rain, hail, and then finally snow. And snow is the epitome of frozen water. Now, one thing that's important is that hail is only formed due to the process of coalescence, except it happens at a point where when the water circulates, it refreezes, strikes under other water, drops down below this line, comes back up, refreezes, strikes again and again and again. And that's why you see that hail is actually formed in rings, in concentric rings. The last thing that I'm going to mention is what we call cloud seeding. So because of humidity, because of location towards the equator, because of other factors, not every place is going to get the same amount of rain. So what some countries, farmers, people will do is do what they call cloud seeding. It's like spraying dust and sand into the atmosphere to cause water to stick to it and form clouds. Now, all these processes are going to become very important when we start discussing atmospheric pressure as well as the different weather systems. So make sure that you have a firm foundation of how this heat is moving throughout the atmosphere and the consequences that it has on the weather systems that we know.